بهار آمد که باز شد فصل نوروز، حالا نوروز یاران، حالا نوروز یاران، حالا نوروز یاران، امروز نوروز یاران. بیایم را ببینیم دنیا چند روز یاران، بیایم را ببینیم دنیا چند روز یاران. که نوروز آمد و با سال نو شد، حالا نوروز یاران. که نوروز آمد و با سال نو شد، حالا نوروز یاران. لباسای کهنه در بر بود و نو شد، حالا نوروز یاران، حالا نوروز یاران، امروز نوروز یاران، روز نوروز یاران. بیایم را ببینیم دنیا چند روز یاران، بیایم را ببینیم دنیا چند روز یاران.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Nowruz to all of you. خانم آقایون، درود می‌فرستم بر همه شما و نوروز بر همه شما فرخنده و همایون. آن چیزی که شنیدید آوایی بود از خراسان پر افتخار و شهر باستانی کاشمر که توسط استاد ابراهیم طاحونی اجرا شده در رسای نوروز، استقبال نوروز. قبل از اینکه به اجرا بپردازیم خیلی کوتاه میخواستم ازتون بخوام که یه سفر خیلی کوتاهی به تاریخ داشته باشیم و تصور کنید شما کودکی هستید که در گستره ایران فرهنگی زندگی میکنید. کی؟ در سده‌های گذشته، 1000 سال قبل، 1500 سال قبل، 2000 سال قبل، خدمتی به تاریخ نوروز. و روزی شما در خانه هستید، شاید یک روز تعطیل، آدینه آرام، و از دور میبینید که یک آوایی بلند شد، یک صدایی به گوشتون رسید. دقیق میشید و اون آوا به شما نزدیک میشه. شما متوجه میشید که آوای ساز هست، سرنا، دهل. خوانندگان خوش صدا دارن میخونن. همچنان که این آوا به شما نزدیک و نزدیکتر میشه، متوجه میشید که همسایه هاتون دارن در خونه هاشون رو باز میکنن. درها باز میشه یکی پس از دیگری. از پنجره نگاه میکنید، میبینید همسایه ها اومدن تو کوچه، دست خالی نیستن. هر کی یه چیزی تو دستشه، یکی گردو، یکی شیرینی، یکی سکه. شما هم یه چیزی از منزل بر میدارید، به سمت در میرید، چون کودک هم هستید دیگه، احتمالاً میدوید. و در رو که باز میکنید یه همچین صحنه‌ای میبینید. صحنه‌ای که شما میبینید این هست، اما این عکس کامل نیست، به خاطر اینکه اون چیزی که شما میبینید این افرادی هستن که دارن ساز میزنن، میخونن و دور اینها مردم در حال شادی و پایکوبی هستن، به خصوص کودکان در حال رقص هستن. صدای موسیقی در شهر پیچیده، در کوچه پیچیده، همسایه‌ها اومدن همدیگر رو دیدن و یک غوغایی برپاست. این افراد عزیزان، اینها نوروزخوان هستند و این آیین اسمش نوروزخانی هست. زمانی که هنوز تلویزیون نبود، رادیو نبود، اینستاگرام نبود، ما نمیدونستیم، نوروزخوانان اصلی ترین رسانه نوروز بودند. نوروزخوانان یک رسالتی داشتند که پشت در پشت، نسل اندر نسل این رو به قدمت تاریخ نوروز اجرا کردن و به پیش بردن. اون روزی که این اتفاق در اون شهر، در اون روستا، در اون محل میافتاد، بوی نوروز دیگه به طور کامل و عطر نوروز در هوا میپیچید و مردم مطمئن میشدن که نوروز اومده. امروز ما میخوایم بعضی از این آواهای نوروزخوانی رو برای شما بزنیم، چون خیلی گسترده است. همونطور که میبینید خواننده نداریم و متاسفانه اشعارش رو نمیتونیم برای شما بخونیم، چون این اشعار حاوی معانی بسیار زیباست، ارزش‌های نوروزی توشه، اما ما اینو به صورت اینسترومنتال و سازی میخوایم براتون اجرا کنیم. از کاشمر یه سر بریم سمت مازندران، مازندران زیبا، و بعد از اون هم یه سری میزنیم به سمت غرب. کجا؟ ارومانات و کردستان عزیز. ممنونم. مطالب در رابطه با نوروزخوانی بسیار گسترده است، چون موسیقی‌های مختلف هر جای ایران موسیقی خودش رو داره و شعرهایی که در نوروزخوانی استفاده میشه در طی این هزاران سال تحولات زیادی کرده و اگر برید و اون عزیزانی که علاقه‌مند هستن خیلی موضوع جذابیه. نمیدونم کسی اینجا نوروزخوانی از نزدیک دیده؟ استاد توکلی میدونم دیدن، چون فرمودن که دیدن. یک نفر شما هم دیدین؟ دیگه کسی ندیده؟ خیلی باید جذاب باشه، درسته؟ هنوز تو خاطرتون مونده. من خودم متاسفانه ندیدم و همیشه یه حسرت بوده برام. طبیعی هم هست، چون ما در 60 خیلی چیزا رو باید میدیدیم که ندیدیم، خیلی چیزا رو دیدیم که نباید میدیدیم. ولی از اون طرف حالا شاید گذشته رو نشه کاریش کرد، اما برای آینده یک پیشنهاد کوچیکی اینه که ما هر کدوم ما میتونیم که این فایل‌های نوروزخوانی رو سالی یک بار، حتی باور کنید حتی 2-3 دقیقه بیشتر، یعنی میشه سالی 2 دقیقه، این رو در زمان نوروز سر سفره 7 سین این رو پخش کنیم که بچه‌های ما بشنون، کودکان ما بشنون، نسل بعد از ما آشنا بشن، ببینن، مانوس بشن و ارزش‌هایی که در ارزش‌های نوروزی و آنچه که در این اشعار اینها، موسیقی اینها شنیده میشه در زندگیشون ساری و جاری خواهد شد. ما از سمت کجا بودیم؟ اورامانات بودیم. یه سر بریم استان زیبای گلستان و بعدش هم آخرش یه سری هم به تهران بزنیم و قطعی در فرم موسیقی ملی اجرا کنیم. ممنونم.
In 1961, Iranian studies emerged as a significant subfield of what eventually became the Department of Near and Middle Eastern Civilizations at the University of Toronto. Over 60 years, U of T now hosts one of Canada's most diverse and innovative centers for Iranian studies that has over 24 faculty specialists and a wide range of course offerings, events, and related programming. Established in 2020 through a generous endowment from the Roshan Cultural Heritage Institute, the Elahé Omidyar Mir-Djalali Institute of Iranian Studies is the heart of Persianate studies and research at University of Toronto. Named after the distinguished philanthropist and scholar, the institute provides leadership, funding, and support for a variety of research activities and ongoing scholarly and cultural initiatives. Acting as a transdisciplinary hub, the institute brings together scholars, students, and supporters to collaborate in studying, preserving, and celebrating Iran's multi-ethnic and multicultural history and civilization. Every year, the Institute offers critical support by awarding fellowships to students and emerging scholars and hosting regular academic and community events. Since its inauguration, the Institute has held more than 200 lectures, including the annual Distinguished Lecture Series, Iranian Studies Book Launch, Zoroastrian Studies, Rethinking History, and Persian Language Pedagogy. Various noteworthy initiatives have taken shape within the Institute. Among them are Canadian Society for Iranian and Persian Studies, Iran-Namag, Tavakoli Archives. Iran-Namag is a bilingual quarterly of Iranian studies dedicated to the publication of original research across the humanities and social sciences. Tavakoli Archives is a treasure trove of printed materials dedicated to discovering and preserving the documentary heritage of Iran and the Persianate world. In 2021, the University of Toronto announced an innovative multi-year partnership with the Encyclopedia Iranica Foundation to create a home for cutting-edge digital scholarship on Iranian poetry, cinema, and related themes. Two of these projects, Cinema Iranica and Women Poet Iranica, provide vast resources, including interviews, a podcast series, bibliographies, and numerous articles written by esteemed Canadian and international scholars. The principal investigator and editor-in-chief for both projects is Mohamad Tavakoli, a renowned scholar of Iranian studies and U of T professor of historical studies and Near and Middle Eastern civilizations. Dr. Tavakoli also serves as the inaugural director of the Elahé Omidyar Mir-Djalali Institute of Iranian Studies.
خیلی بحثشون این هستش که مفهوم وطن رو ما از کانسپت نیشن و پاتری فرنگی گرفتیم، در صورتی که یک مفاهیم تغییر تحولات خیلی مهمی هم در زبان فارسی در ادبیات سیاسی قرن 19 دوره قاجار اتفاق میفته و اون این هستش که وطن کم کم از یک خانه و یک محل سکونت و شهری که درش زندگی میکنی و اینها تبدیل میشه به یه وطن ایرانی به عنوان خانه ایران که پادشاه میشه پدر تاجدار یا پدر مهربان تمام ایرانیان. این مرحله اول انقلاب مشروطیت هستش. مرحله دوم پدر تاجدار کنار گذاشته میشه، ایران به عنوان به جای اینکه یک خانه باشه میشه یک مادر.
درود و سلام حضور مهمانان عالی قدر، دوستان نهایت عزیز و گرامی. نوروز و سال نو بر شما مبارک. امیدوارم که سال خوب و خوش پر از موفقیت ها و خوشی ها پیش رو داشته باشید. من فرزانه ساحل حسینی، البته ساحل تخلص شیری من است. هستم از شهر هرات کشور افغانستان. امروز به تعداد 4 پارچه شعر بهاری که تازه سرودم خدمت شما به خوانش میگیرم. امید که مورد پسند شما سروران گرامی قرار گیره. شعر اول ما است: بهار آمد. بهار آمد بیا ای دوست حالت را بهاری کن. بهار آمد بیا ای دوست حالت را بهاری کن. گلوی شعر و آواز غمت را چون قناری کن. بنه بر لب نشاط و شور و لبخند و تبسم را. لب خشکیده دل را به مهرش آبیاری کن. به باران طبیعت شستشو بنما تن خاکی. به باران طبیعت شستشو بنما تن خاکی و انهار محبت را به باغ سینه جاری کن. زهر گلبن نشان دوست برگیر و به لوح دل. چو رسام طبیعت عشق را چهره نگاری کن. به گلشن چون درآیی عالم شادی نمایان است. به گلشن چون درآیی عالم شادی نمایان است. از این شور و نشاط زندگانی پاسداری کن. دم پهلوی گل بنشین و غمها را رها بنما. دم پهلوی گل بنشین و غمها را رها بنما و تابش گفتن گل غنچه شب را زنده داری کن. چو بلبل در بر گلها فتاده بنگری زنهار. ز راز و رمز این عاشق ای دل پرده داری کن. برو بر ساحل و بنگر تلاطم‌های دریا را. برای گوهر نایاب صبر و انتظاری کن. برای گوهر نایاب صبر و انتظاری کن. تشکر. شعر بعدی باز هم در مورد بهار و نوروز است. بهار را به قدم‌های تو آذین سازم. لبم به نام شکوهمند تو رنگین سازم. کنون الهه نوروز یار و همدم ماست. به اشتیاق دو چشمان تو افسین سازم. سلام عشق فرستم سرود مهر بخوانم. سمای سینه گذارم غزل به سین سازم. چو طرح سیب بریزم به باغ خلد برین. فرشته را ز فلک ساکن زمین سازم. سحر به باغ درآیم نظر به سبزه کنم. به چشم سار صفا خاطرم قرین سازم. نرفته قصه ماهی و ماه از یادم. کنون ز مهر غزلهای دلنشین سازم. بهار بی تو به گلشن صفا نمی بخشد. بیا که با تو بهاران بهترین سازم. دوای درد منی بهر خاطر ساحل. بیا که لحظه خوش این دل غمین سازم. بیا که لحظه خوش این دل غمین سازم. خسته نشیم. بهار باز هم بهار در کوهسارد. بهار سنبل و ریحان در آستین دارد. نشان عشق دلیرانه بر جبین دارد. بهار موسم شادی و مهر و عشق و صفاست. هوای دلکش و آوای دلنشین دارد. به چشم نرگس مستانه چمن سوگند که کوهسار قبای زمردین دارد. به دست باد سپردند مژدگان بهار. به دست باد سپردند مژدگان بهار که او نسیم خوش و بوی عنبرین دارد. به آفتاب درخشان صبحگاه بهار نگر که نور نوازشگر زرین دارد. به کهکشان نگر ماه تابناک ببین که او به پهنه خود زهره را نگین دارد. بیا و جام بلورین بنوش و مستی کن. بیا و جام بلورین بنوش و مستی کن که فصل تازه نواهای آتشین دارد. که فصل تازه نواهای آتشین دارد. اینک قطع شعر، آخرین شعر، باز هم در مورد بهار. چه خوش بود که تو در بوستان قدم بزنی. چه خوش بود که تو در بوستان قدم بزنی، سکوت سرد چمن را دمی به هم بزنی، به مرغکان چمن شوری عاشقانه دهی. به مرغکان چمن شوری عاشقانه دهی و پشت پا به سراپرده علم بزنی. بهار یعنی که هر لحظه عاشقم باشی. بهار یعنی که هر لحظه عاشقم باشی و بخت و طالع ما را خودت رقم بزنی. به اشتیاق بگیری تو دست گرم مرا. به اشتیاق بگیری تو دست گرم مرا، شرر به جان و دل از حال تا عدم بزنی. به من تو عشق بورزی و من غزل سازم. به من تو عشق بورزی و من غزل سازم. تو شاخه گل سرخی سر صنم بزنی. کنار جوی نشینیم و عشق هدیه کنیم. کنار جوی نشینیم و عشق هدیه کنیم. تو طعنه از دل گرمت به ساز غم بزنی. بهار یعنی تو باشی و عشق و خلوت راز. بهار یعنی تو باشی و عشق و خلوت راز. چی حاجت است که حرف ز بیش و کم بزنی. به زورقی که تمنای سایلش باشد، چو باد شرطه شوی از کمال دم بزنی. از توجه همه عزیزان تشکر.
بهروز و بهاران خجسته باد. Wishing you all a joyous, healthy, and inspiring Nowruz and spring. As the inaugural director of the Elahé Omidyar Mir-Djalali Institute of Iranian Studies at the University of Toronto, I want to thank you all for joining us in today's celebration of Nowruz. This Nowruz meet and greet is organized by the Elahé Omidyar Mir-Djalali Institute of Iranian Studies in collaboration with the office of the Honorable Ali Ehsassi, who was appointed earlier this month by Prime Minister Mark Carney as the Minister of Government Transformation, Public Services, and Procurement. I congratulate our Honorable Ali Ehsassi on his appointment to the Federal Cabinet, a position once held by his maternal grandfather, Abdul Hossein Teymurtash, precisely 100 years ago. This is an impressive accomplishment, Honorable Ali Ehsassi. We wish you great success in this important public service role. I also want to congratulate the Honorable Michael Parsa for his reappointment on the first day of Nowruz as the Minister of Children, Community, and Social Services by Premier Doug Ford. For the Canadian Iranian diasporic community, it is the mark of distinction that Ali and Michael and earlier Dr. Reza Moridi have been appointed to federal and provincial public and social services and education cabinet positions. Inaugurating the spring season, Nowruz 2025 started at the vernal equinox on Friday, March 20th, and ends on the 13th day on Wednesday, April 2nd, with outdoor picnicking in grassy meadows and parks. As a celebration of spring, Nowruz embodies the universal message of natural renewal, rejuvenation, and the promise of lighter, brighter, and warmer days ahead. With the natural certainty of sprouting, blooming, and budding trees, vegetations, flowers, singing birds, and the saint of spring, Nowruz has been celebrated for several millennia in Iran and the world beyond. This includes the North American indigenous communities who for long celebrated the spring equinox and the beginning of spring. The celebration of spring does provide us with a natural occasion for fostering deeper cultural, social, and personal collaboration with the indigenous communities. This is particularly important since celebrating natural beauty and floral diversity has long served as a symbol of religious, cultural, ethnic, and linguistic diversity within the larger global Iranian community. We salute the indigenous peoples of Canada and acknowledge their ancestral land on which we are gathering today. Nowruz is also an occasion to renew friendship through reciprocal visits and gift giving. We are deeply grateful for your presence and for the generous gifts that you have contributed to the Iranian Studies Student Scholarship Fund at the University of Toronto. Your support is invaluable and will make a significant difference in the lives of our students. All the ticket sales for today's event further bolster this fund, demonstrating the transformative power of your generosity. I also want to take this opportunity to thank our outstanding musicians, Padide Ahrar-Nejad, Naghmeh Farahmand, who will be joining us later, Sohail Sadeghi, and Masih Tahvildari for Nowruzkhani. And also my gratitude to Farzaneh Hosseini for her poetry recitation. Now, I invite our inspirational co-host, the Honorable Ali Ehsassi, to join us at the podium. Ali.
Thank you so much. Thank you. نوروز همگی خیلی مبارک باشه. So allow me, first of all, to start off by thanking Professor Tavakoli. As you know, this is the second year that we're doing these Sepas celebrations to showcase all the talent that exists in our community from coast to coast to coast. Now, I also wanted to thank him for the gracious introduction and say it is such an honor to actually partner with Professor Tavakoli and the University of Toronto. And I say that because he has been doing this for a very, very long time. He's been showcasing our intellectual capital, our artistic capital, our cultural capital, and in the process has recognized truly exceptional individuals amongst us. But apart from that, being a graduate of the University of Toronto, I think I can also say sometimes my experience here at the University of Toronto was that you had very learned individuals, but some of them had a tendency to be somewhat grumpy. But the thing we do owe Professor Tavakoli, apart from his erudition and his insight and the showcasing of so many extraordinary individuals is the fact that his spirit has always been welcoming, and he's always been very, very gracious as someone who teaches us and as someone who understands the significance of lifting people up. So a great debt of gratitude to Professor Tavakoli. But as I look to you, I also have to say that I'm very, very grateful to many of you here today, for having been part of my personal journey as well, whether prior to entering into public life or after that. And I say this because many of you have made it all possible. You have helped concretely to allow me to get into public life. But some of you may not have helped me concretely. But truly, I am not exaggerating when I say I am so incredibly inspired to know so many of you for always doing such an exceptional job and providing us all so much pride. Thank you. Sepas. حالا اگه اجازه بدیم بریم سر اصل مطلب, if I may. So the divination of this particular partnership with Professor Tavakoli and the University of Toronto is to say, we are so grateful for all these luminaries amongst us. And as you can imagine, for a community that has essentially been here for approximately 50 years, in those early days, we didn't have as many luminaries, but with every passing day, with every passing year, there are more and more individuals who are really shining very, very bright amongst us. As I often say, and as I often repeat, no matter where I go, I see extraordinary members of the Iranian Canadian community. Now, generally speaking, in those early days, and I'm sure you share this very same experience, it was generally confined to universities and hospitals. But it would be no exaggeration to say, as we go to different places, as we experience different institutions, there is no nook and cranny in this country where there aren't Iranian Canadians contributing to building this country. Now, one of the things that was quite extraordinary this year, as you know, is that there were the King Charles medals. And we had at least 10 Iranian Canadians receive those medals across the country. Also, not to be forgotten, is that this year, we also had someone who received the Order of Canada. Her name, of course, she's familiar to many of you, is Ms. Tina Tehranchian. Now, Tina, obviously Professor Tavakoli and I both reached out to her to see if she would also honor us by being here and being part of the the fire chat that we've set up. But unfortunately, as much as she wanted to be amongst us, some traveling schedules did not permit that. But the point is well known. Today, we are extraordinarily grateful to have 3 incredibly impressive individuals with us here today. And of course, I'm referring to Mr. Shane Bagai, to Mr. Martin Basiri, and of course, to Ms. Helia Mohammadi. And Professor Tavakoli will be providing you with a bio of each of them. But let me also say this at this particular juncture in Canada's history. It's important that we recognize all these exceptional individuals, that we celebrate them, because we all need inspiration. None of us have had it easy. Each of us have had our own challenges, But what better way to get ourselves fired up by showcasing these extraordinary individuals? But apart from recognizing the contributions of the Iranian Canadian community, I think it would also be fitting that we recognize the gratitude that we have to Canada. After all, Canada is the country that has provided us with the granite beneath our feet to make all of you and all of the successes in our community possible. So let's recognize that. And as you know, nowadays, we're having a bit of a challenge. We're having some difficulties with our neighbor to the south, but it's important to recognize how incredibly important it is that we stand up for Canada, and we also recognize the immense contributions that our country makes to strengthening Canada. So on that note, اجازه بدین خدمت هر کدومتون بگم هر روزتون نوروز، نوروزتون پیروز و امیدوارم که از صحبت‌های امروز ما نهایت استفاده رو بکنیم و بهره مند بشین. ممنون از لطف همگی شما.
Thank you, Honorable Ali Ehsassi, who came up with the great idea of inviting distinguished Iranians for panel discussions on the occasion of Nowruz. And for today, we have a panel discussion on innovation and inspiration, and includes 3 distinguished Iranians. Dr. Hilya Mohammadi, who holds the position of Chief AI and Precision Health Officer, and WW Healthcare Industry Lead for Microsoft, with over 20 years of experience in research and applied AI. Her work has profoundly influenced key domains in healthcare, including medical imaging, genomics research, multimodal health data analytics, confidential computing, and precision health. Dr. Mohammadi is an inventor and a thought leader in the AI, healthcare, and research industry, with several patents and publications to her credit. She actively participates as a member of the Responsible AI Office at Microsoft Canada and serves on several advisory boards, including Women in AI. She is at the forefront of digital transformation and is instrumental in fostering AI adoption strategy. Thank you. Our second member of the panel is Martin Basiri, the founder and CEO of Passage, an organization dedicated to empowering individuals by providing financial access to life-changing educational and career opportunities. A visionary entrepreneur, Martin was the co-founder and former CEO of Applebee Board, which is valued at $3.2 billion, the world's largest international student recruitment platform, which has helped over 1 million students access global education. Martin's passion for innovation began in Iran, where he created and sold several inventions before moving to Canada as an international student. He earned a master's degree in mechatronics engineering from University of Waterloo, an experience that inspired him to solve access to education. In 2023, he launched Passage to ensure that deserving individuals, especially those from marginalized communities, have access to the opportunities that they need to succeed. Committed to impact-driven finance, Martin is spearheading initiatives such as affordable loans for Afghan women and refugees, reinforcing his belief that education is the key to unlocking potential and solving global challenges. Our third speaker, who you know on various streets as you drive, is Shane Bagai, a visionary developer who has shaped the landscape of Toronto's real estate market and beautified it with his unparalleled dedication to craftsmanship, creativity, and innovation. Since his immigration to Canada in 1973, he has built a legacy defined by distinctive custom homes, luxury condominiums, and master-planned communities that blend elegance and functionality. For his distinctive contributions, in 1997-98, he received the University of Toronto Arbor Award. In 1998, he was recognized as the Ontario Builder of the Year. In 1999, as the Regional Builder of the Year. In 2021, as Central Ontario Builder of the Year. And in 2002, he was inducted into the Builders Hall of Fame. As a philanthropist, Mr. Bagai has long supported the Princess Margaret Hospital and was the founder of the Graduate Student Scholarship at the University of Toronto for the best graduate student in English studies. And of course, we will have our Honorable Ali Ehsassi, who will be part of the conversation. Honorable Ali Ehsassi.
So, first of all, allow me to say we're so incredibly grateful that all three of you agreed to be part of this fireside chat. And I say that because looking over the accomplishments of each of you is truly the type of thing. Oh, my apologies. Thank you, Celeste. First of all, allow me, let's start this all over again. My apologies. So first of all, I wanted to thank all three of you for very graciously having agreed to be part of this fireside chat. And I say that because some of you I've known longer, some of you just a few weeks. But just looking at your careers, at your trajectories, is truly something phenomenal. You are, each of you, in your own right, are people who really fire the imagination. And I can't imagine that it's always been easy. I'm sure there were many barriers and challenges along the way, but we just thought we could all actually benefit a great deal by having an informal discussion with you and learning from your remarkable experiences. So I think the way we're going to do it with Professor Tavakoli is I'll ask one question, we'll pose it to all three of you, and then Professor Tavakoli, and we've got about 6 or 7 questions in general, which we will put to each of you. The only thing I would ask, I do know that all three of you are incredibly accomplished, but given the fact that there are some time limitations, as a general rule, when it comes to each question that's asked, we'd be very, very grateful if you kept it limited to approximately 2 minutes. So allow me to start off with this. Each of you, we've had an opportunity to hear the extraordinary things that you have done and you have accomplished. So let me start off by saying this. If you could each explain to us, first of all, what it is exactly that you're doing these days, because when one isn't part of your professions, sometimes it's difficult for us to imagine exactly what it is you do on a daily basis. And also, while you're doing that, if you could also explain what it is that you're really grappling with and keeps you up at night. I guess we'll start off with Martin. And Martin, allow me to say this about Martin. There was a period where all these ministers would come up to me and say, do you know Martin? And I didn't know Martin. But he was on the speed dial of, I truly am not exaggerating when I say 3 or 4 different ministers who are always grateful to receive his sage advice. In addition to that, I've spoken to tech executives who bring up his name, and also he has a very prominent role in the Canadian Club as well. So thank you for being with us, Martin. And with that introduction, if you could tell us what it is you're grappling with, what it is you're wrestling with.
For sure. Thank you so much for kind word. نوروز همتون مبارک باشه. امیدوارم که سال بسیار از خوشحالی و سرشار از سلامتی برای همه داشته باشین. Before I start talking about myself, I just want to say I'm so proud of Ali. True honor for all of us Iranian to see you on the podium and representing Canada and the Team Canada. I wish you nothing but success. I know you got to the role at probably the most challenging time of Canada in the last couple of decades, but I'm pretty sure you can do it with the team. So I think he deserves a very, very loud encouragement and applaud for everyone. So a little bit without me, I came from Iran to Canada in 2010 as a grad student. I grew up in a family, we didn't have that much of money, and I was lucky to receive a scholarship for my master's degree, like a lot of other people. And I came here and I loved it. I love Canada too, and I was like, I need to bring my family here. So I started learning about immigration, and after that I actually immigrated to US. But one day I was like, why there's no website that people can easily find out how they can come to Canada? And we started that, and we called it Apply Board. We went through 3 years of hell, very, very, very hard time, and somehow we survived. And then things started working well, and we ended up having about 1,500 employees in about 30 countries in the world. We became the fastest growing tech company in Canada, served over 1 million people. In whole, bringing them to Canada, US, Australia, UK. We became the largest company on planet Earth doing that. And I developed this dream of what if education is accessible for all the students around the world? What if everyone have an equal opportunity to change their life and serve the society? And as we were growing, one of the things that was really, really bothering me, that 95% of the students coming to Canada or other countries self-funded, and only 3% of the world population can afford paying for international education. I was just outside, we were talking to one person that was just here on visitor or work permit, and they were asking about fees of their children. It's financial of university is pretty expensive. And when it comes to globally, international students don't have that. First, I was okay, life was very grateful for me. Why can't we just make a foundation or a company or something and we give financial access to most brilliant people around the world? And it was at the same time that Canada was bringing a lot of people from Ukraine and Afghanistan. And we said, why don't we start a company? And all of the girls from Afghanistan that Taliban kicked them out of the schools just because of their gender. We find the most brilliant ones, and we basically provide them financial access, and we bring them to Canada, and we put them in the schools like a nursing or computer science, and they can change their life. And first it was just an idea, but then we started it, and it was so hard. Because not only we had to fight to get them visa and safely bring them here and get them acceptance and raise enough money to give them, but also we had to fight all the mindset that put these girls out of a school. And we never thought how much hardship we're going to go through. Finally, the first group of them came, and as I'm talking to you guys, over 250 people from Afghanistan and Africa. We brought the most brilliant people. We put them in universities here. And I have this dream that by end of this decade, there is a chance that we can build a company that top 1% of the world, regardless of their gender, religion, nationality, race, or wealth, they can come to a country like Canada, US, Australia, and then they become doctors, engineers, things that we need here, and then not only change their life, but also change their generation. It's pretty hard and audacious, but I think we have 10% shot of success.
Incredible. So now if we could go to Dr. Mohammadi. I should say this was entirely by happenstance. It was actually during a Nowruz celebration that we met about approximately 10 days ago. And as soon as she said AI, Microsoft, I'm thinking, wow, this is pretty intimidating. And let me tell you, when we had a follow-up conversation, I just really, truly realized how some of us don't stack up, because she is just so incredibly brilliant. Ms. Mohammadi, if you could kindly explain to us, what your daily life consists of, and what it is that keeps you up at night.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. سلام، نوروزتون بخیر باشه. ایشالا که امسال سالی پر از شادی، سلامتی، موفقیت، خوشنامی و عشق باشه واسه هممون. I don't know how to follow what you just explained. This is very interesting, and I'm very proud to be part of this amazing panel. As you've heard, I'm the Chief AI and Precision Health Officer with Microsoft Worldwide Health and Life Sciences team. On my day-to-day work, basically I try to help our healthcare organizations, our ministries of health, and our physicians, anyone who touches healthcare, in terms of adoption of new technology and transforming their organization from breaking data silos all the way to looking at security and privacy of the data, and obviously applying AI and new technologies in a robust and scalable way. I'm very privileged to have supported our Canadian healthcare. I've also supported US healthcare as well, and it's been wonderful to be able to improve patient outcomes. At the end of the day, all of us, hopefully not, will be patients, or our family members will be patients. So how do we make sure that the lives of the patients, especially going through difficult times such as cancer, is easier, and the teams and physicians who are supporting them, they have less fatigue and they can make informative decisions based on data and hopefully leveraging AI to mitigate some of the challenges. Thank you.
And sorry, what worries you? What worries you? Like, what are the things you're on the cusp of and you're really pushing to see happen?
Absolutely. So what worries me is adoption rate of these technologies. A lot of the times technology is available. I actually had a conversation with some of the members that are attending here. Lack of education of what is available. So what you're helping everyone to do is to educate them to learn what is available to them. Everyone in this room is able to create an AI agent in 5 minutes today. And this is very powerful to identify and understand. What worries me is the delay of adoption of these technologies, and also leveraging them in the wrong way. So if you expose, for example, a sensitive data or a patient data on these public AI solutions, that worries me. I want to make sure that the use of these technologies are responsible and also secure and private.
Understood. Janab Bagheri, next we will turn to you. I should say that I think for the vast majority of us in this room, you were one of the first who, from the Iranian Canadian community, who was shining very, very bright from the day some of us landed in this country. So thank you for being here with us today.
Honorable Ehsassi, are you insinuating that I'm old?
No, not at all, not at all. It's just that truly, I think for most of us who came to this country in the 1980s, there were just a couple of Iranian Canadians who were really well known, and that was such a source of a great inspiration to us all to let us know that things are possible in this new country that we have landed in. So thank you for inspiring us first and foremost. But also, I know that you have a, much like our previous two guests, you do really have a roving intellect in the sense that you've been engaged on so many different initiatives. So it's not just that you've been very eminent in the field of construction. So if you could just tell us some of the things that you're working on, some initiatives that you care about, and dare I say so, if there's anything that keeps you up at night.
I'm up all night. And I've been up all night for the most of my life. My days consist of meeting with my artisans and workers, the staff at the office. I remember once that I went to a job site and I saw everybody frowning and looked miserable. And I promised myself that I'm going to create some resonance and go and perk them up. I sometimes asked people to help me out with a joke or something funny. And I would go to different places that I visit every day, and I cheer them up. That resonance or positivity, believe it or not, makes a lot of difference in productivity. Although productivity is part of my subject, and I believe in my graduate school management, productivity and creating a brand and so on and so forth. But really, I think that I sort of conjured up my own way of making people feel positive and feel good about themselves and take pride in workmanship. When I first arrived in Canada, a majority of our artisans and constructors and laborers even were from Italy. I have to tell you that what I learned from those old artisans and the Italian diaspora here were very different than most ethnic groups in a sense, and I experienced this. A person with high school or even below high school education would come here and would become a bricklayer. But, you could sit down and talk about the Second World War or what started it and whatever, and these people were immensely knowledgeable, let alone the knowledge in construction field. I have to admit that whatever I learned in construction and in development was from those old-style Italian trades that were later on replaced with Polish, Portuguese, and so on. but I have to admit, I do miss those old Italian traits. They built Toronto, literally. Another part of my time is spent at the farm, which is about an hour away from Toronto. The idea of having a farm and having cattle and animals was basically to pretend that there are days that I can go back to my childhood. Because I used to go to villages and to properties that my mother, who was very much into farming and even antiques and archaeology and so on and so forth, would make us spend most of our time, particularly during the summer, outside the city. And I'm from a city called Hamadan. And Hamadan had a lot of archaeological sites. Number one, that my mother would go on expeditions and try and find artifacts and give them to the museum, of course. And then the rest of it was with dairy cows, sheep, goats, and God knows what else. So, as a matter of fact, donkeys were absolutely essential, but they were used as a mode of transportation. Here, I have one donkey in my farm, and the duty of this donkey is to shoo the coyotes away. And they do a good job, a great job. So I do spend as much as I can, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours at the farm during the day, probably 2-3 times a week, and spend sometimes with my horses and my cows and remember my childhood. And I truly wish that my mom was alive and she saw that I recreated something similar to what she gave us that made our childhood very special. Other than that, we're working on concepts with 2 of my architects, and I have a young planner who actually went to Waterloo. And it is, indeed. And we're looking at luxury affordable. The luxury affordable, although it's an oxymoron, but it's something that I came up with, and it became a campaign, and the campaign was so successful. I don't want to prolong my conversation here, and I hope that I'm not boring you. But there was a time that one of my marketing people came to me and said, there's a misconception with you. And this happened when I was going to do high-rises, and I was going to do smaller suites. And there was a big philosophy behind it. There was a time that the market was not very good, like now. And a lot of people wanted to downsize, but they would feel, I don't know, either embarrassed or they would feel belittled that we're selling our big home and we're moving into a smaller home. So condos to me became the solution, because then whoever that sold the big house and moved to a condo was not because he didn't have money or he needed money. It was because it was a lifestyle change. So they wanted to change their lifestyle. So it made it a lot easier for people to embrace condo living. At the same time, my marketing people were worried that, and they were worried about that misconception that I just mentioned. That, people think that they can't afford your houses, because I used to build gigantic homes and palatial homes and so on, and I was always considered to be an expensive, unreachable builder, businessman, whatever. So we came up with this luxury affordable. And luxury affordable meant that the quality was not compromised on at all. I mean, the appliances were the same as a $10 million house. Those days, 10 million. Now, $10 million houses are abundant. The idea was to create smaller spaces, useful, take advantage of every square inch, and get these talented designers and planners to come up with things that would set you apart from anybody else. By the way, I have a logo that I've kept for years, and it says, always different. I was always different. There was not another development that I did that had any similarities to the previous one. And I embraced change. So my advertising agent went and came to me and said, well, I have a line for you, and I want you to go on 680 News and the other radio stations and just say this one sentence. And it worked, as a matter of fact. The sentence was, who says you can't afford Shane Bag-High luxury? I'm Shane Bag-High, and I say you can. The result was that one of my projects, I believe was at Young and 401, attracted people who came with tents and slept until the next morning when the sales office was open. And I had 3 or 4 large developers in the same area with sales offices close to ours. I don't think it's appropriate to mention the developers, but I sold out, and I was out of that entire project 3 years before any other person, any other developer. So my days are being spent on another innovative plan, another idea. The affordable luxury means that I have to think about new technology. I have to think about possibly partially prefabbing some of our components in the homes or even in the high-rises. And every day we have to think about something that's not a lot, but just a little tiny bit better than what we did before. So we're working on affordable housing outside Toronto. Unfortunately, there's not much land here in Toronto. And I would like to use the ideas that I brought with me from University of London years. I would like to do a communal geothermal plant so that I can extract heat and cool from the earth. And communal because it's cheaper that way. Some people do it with diesel generators and they call it a cogen system. And I have a lot of fun with my mechanical engineers. And although I did mechanical engineering, but I owe something to my wife. And I owe her a lot, as a matter of fact, because she's smarter than me in most cases. She told me, don't you ever practice engineering, hire them. And I think that was the best advice she gave me, because I heard these young guys that were much better than me, and then I shared my ideas with them, and they improved them, and the result was spectacular. So we're working on energy. I think my 2 minutes
I believe so, yes.
So that's the story of a day in Shane Bag-High's life.
Very good.
Thank you for sharing these inspirational experiences. I want to see if you could take us back in. Thank you. I'm wondering whether you could take us back in time and explain at what particular moment, realization, or decision put you on your present professional trajectory. What was it? Prompted, for example,
addressed to me, or?
We can start with Mr. Basiri.
Sure.
You have explained a little bit of it in the earlier.
Yeah, sure. I'm one of those lucky human beings that my parents, even though they were not wealthy, they were very educated. So I started designing circuits when I was 6 because my dad was, the way that he was giving me love was to teach me electronics. And I grew up learning things that none of my classmates knew, and some belief came to me earlier on that maybe I can do it. And I think that's the biggest gift any parents can give to their children, the belief that they can do it. The rest of it for me is a history because I've done so many different things, from selling fireworks at a school, to burning illegal CDs to distribute them in Iran, to selling coding, teaching coding, inventing for Khwarazmi Festival, teach coding at University of Waterloo, being an engineer and then an entrepreneur. But all of them, it was like a step by step of something that my dad and my mom gave us, which was the belief. And it was pretty hard. I grew up in a hard family, and one of the things that always a poet was just push me forward. And if I may allow, I'll switch to فارسی. یه دونه شعری بود که من هر وقت که مثلا میرفتم جلو میخوردم به یه مشکل، این شعر فرید مشیری رو واسه خودم میخوندم که میگفت در فرو بسته ترین دشواری، در گرانبارترین نومیدی، بارها بر سر خود بانگ زدم، هیچ اگر نیست مخور خون جگر، دست که هست. و من اینطوری قوی وای میسادم و میگفتم and I was like, I can do it. When I came to Canada 14 years ago, I came with $10,000 in my pocket, and that's it. And I was always like, oh my God, I'm working 16, 17 hours a day coding, and I'm nobody here. This is the country that I don't even speak the language. Did I make a right decision coming here? Who am I gonna be? I'm never gonna be as successful. And keep telling that part in my brain that I can do it. I have hands. I can at least do something. I'm not going to give up in life. Couple of years later, I overachieved some of my dreams. And one thing became very, very clear for me. Success is not one moment. Success is the belief that you've generated in your brain that you can do it. And you're going to go through a lot of hardship before a success come out of it. And if you believe in yourself, even the hardship become joyful. Building a startup is very hard. And the best explanation I heard from someone is building a tech company is like chewing glasses. And you gotta enjoy the taste of your own blood. And it's literally like my life. I go every day to a grind. But somehow I'm surviving, and it's just being joyful. So I think if I want to point at 1 second is probably the moment that my dad decided to teach me something that is way over my age. And I'm truly thankful for him and my family.
Wow, that was incredible. The poem you just read took me back many years ago when I was facing some challenges, and my dear father, he wrote me a bait. So I'm going to switch to Farsi. So my dear father, پدر عزیزم الان اینجا هستن. حالا یه تیکه کوچیکشو میخونم، نمیدونم یادتون هست. به صداقت سوگند، فاصله دست تو با بسته دری میتوانم مانده است. And that kept me going. So it's your distance to opening a closed door is just you saying I can. And that kind of shaped kind of my mentality. I had kind of an interesting journey, and my title didn't exist a few years ago, Chief AI Officer. This is pretty new, and this is a very hot topic right now. I can say, I wanted to become an architect. And the university entrance exam, concours, I wasn't accepted at Shahid Beheshti, which was my dream university. So I decided to do 2 different degrees at the same time. Business management, my dad was in the business, and also computer engineering. I did them at the same time, very challenging. I did both of them in 5 years, took 1 year off of each, and I don't want to bore you with the management of the final exams, the dates, the scheduling. That kind of made me a really good project manager, actually. And then I received an entrance scholarship to study computer science, which actually needed the 2 backgrounds that I had here in Toronto. And then one thing led to another. I was encouraged by my dear professor, Ali Reza Sadeqian, who encouraged me to do my PhD. So I decided to join the electrical and computer engineering here at U of T. There you go. Unfortunately, my supervisor passed away on my 4th year when I was ready to defend my thesis. And I had to switch my topic to biomedical engineering, and 3 extra years. And as soon as I changed the date on my LinkedIn profile from present to that date that I graduated, a recruiter from Microsoft reached out to me on LinkedIn, and 2-3 weeks later, I think 8 interviews later, I landed the job, which was incredible. So my advice to anyone here, if you're finishing your studies, build your LinkedIn profile and network as much as you can. Thank you.
I think I'm going to average down on the time I spent with my first presentation and make it very quick. I think you're asking me what really inspired me. I don't know, in whatever field that I would have gone. I mean, construction happened to be a coincidence. I sum it up for you very briefly. I saw opportunities that the others had missed. And it's almost like somebody left something valuable behind, and nobody was there to pick it up, and I did.
Awesome. So very good. I'm sure you guys are taking notes, right? The students. All right,
So some of the questions I had in mind, you've actually responded to in the course of your responses. But it's pretty evident, having spoken to each of you and having listened to you, that all 3 of you are extraordinary innovators, in the sense that you don't allow things to stand in your way. So apart from the trajectory, the professional trajectory that you have chosen, how do you maintain your competitive edge? What is it that nurtures you and keeps you going because you're all innovators? Could you provide us with some sage advice on that as well?
So for me, at each point, I'm chasing me in 10 years. I build a dream in my brain that this could be life. And it has family in it. It has all the elements of my wife, children, parents, friends. And also it has what can I do in this life for other people? I truly believe the easiest life is the life of service, when you help other people achieve their dreams. And for me, somehow, it was so clear for me since I remember. I always loved to help other people. and but also I like to build. So these two dreams always like combine. The very interesting part, the dream changes. So every day of my life, the dream changed a little bit by that day. And I think what keeps me motivated is chasing me in 10 years. Like I'm 36 right now. What can I be in 46? How many more invention I could do? Like how many more people I can help? And I have 3 goals in life that I put it when I was 20 years old. One was I went to Sierra Leone in Africa. And I was lucky. I went there for 3 months, and I've noticed that people don't have water. They don't have clean water, and there were 5 meters of rain per year. And it just didn't make sense for me. Just make a big reservoir, God is taking care of the rain. And I was like, okay, I want to bring 10 million people fresh water. And then when I came to Canada, I developed the second goal. It was like, I want to educate 1 million children. And the third dream, then I realized that how small is the world of charity and foundations compared to the world of the business. I said, I'm going to achieve number 1 and 2 while making 100 people millionaire. And on number 1, my goal so far is 0. So I have a lot to achieve yet. I haven't even done 0. I'm not even 1 out of 1 million. On number 2, 220,000 people started their school because of what we did. And I'm about 22% of the goal. And number 3, we made 37 people millionaire. And basically we are 37% of the goal. So as it goes, when I started getting closer to the numbers, I add another goal to make life harder, and that keeps me going. And it worked for me since I'm 14, and I don't know when I'm gonna change the methodology, but that's what keeps me alive.
To me, it's really fostering a culture of impact. Typically, a lot of the people that I talk to or come across with, they want to do their 9-to-5 job, their duties and their tasks, and oftentimes they don't want to do a little bit more. Yeah, but what I've tried to do during my career and even before that is to, as I mentioned, foster that culture of change and culture of impact to make sure if I see something that can be improved, if there is room for increasing efficiency, if there is maybe adoption of a new technology or putting together a virtual team of like-minded people to make that change, I go for it. One example that I can give is I have 14 years background in academia, and when I joined Microsoft, I realized there are so many amazing tools that could have saved me and a lot of the researchers time and effort, and in some cases, tears. So I made it my mission to create a research framework and then go back to my alma mater. U of T was the first that I kind of went to my lab, and I gave a presentation to say, hey, if you change so-and-so and adopt so-and-so technologies, then maybe you can improve efficiency and increase number of publications or research outcomes. So making that change was always number 1 for me. And then the second that I would briefly say is to building a support system. Whether it's your family, your mother, your father, your relatives, or in your network of professionals, building that support system and allyship has given me a lot of, basically improved what I do day-to-day basis and increased my productivity. Thank you.
I guess Mr. Same question for me. Yes. I resonate to everything that you said. It's admirable. It's wonderful. Keep up the good work. But I thought I'm going to come up with something that you may find interesting. Life is very short. And when you get to be my age, There was a time that I thought I was the youngest builder, youngest engineer, youngest this, but that's not true anymore. And I realized how quickly life can pass. I was thinking about innovations, and I was thinking about including such devices in homes and in place of work that would give you more time for you to live, rather than doing the chores yourself. I mean, with the flick of a finger, you can get the drapes closed, or voice activation that would do some of the work for you. I grew up in a home that those days was customary for people, particularly people who had villages, owned villages, like my mom did. They would have servants and workers in the house. My dad one day told me that these are the most valuable things that we have. These people are the most valuable things. And I was a kid. My dad was old when I was born, and I didn't relate to him. It took me a while when I left Iran at the age of 12, and by the time I became 15, then my dad's advice started reappearing in my head, and I analyzed it, and God, he was so right. And he used an example. I'm going to use this example and see what I'm after now in this day and age, but not in human power form, but in innovation in electronic form. And innovation in every facet of life. He told me that he'd calculated that if you were to polish your own shoes, some year and a half of your life would be gone, polishing shoes. And if you have a very uncomfortable bed, it means that 1/3 of your life has been lived very uncomfortably. And he was right about that too. But seriously, I think the future generations should live an easier life and have more time to enjoy themselves, and more time to feel life, and more time to be alive, particularly now that the doctors and the technology has prolonged our lifespan. My God, this is another short little story I tell you so that you know what is happening these days. In the early 80s, my dad ended up in a nursing home. We couldn't keep him. He needed a doctor, he needed nurses, so on and so forth. And he was 85 years old. And in the entire institution, there was one man that had reached the age 101. The rest were 85. The ones that hadn't died were between 80, 85, maybe even 90. About 2 years ago, the same thing happened to my brother. My brother was 21 years older than me. But he had a brain hemorrhage, and he ended up in a senior citizens, but a special care unit. And to my surprise, I found out that there were 31 centenarians over the age 100 in that institution. Look at what the doctors and what the medical science and what the technology has done. So in my small way, in order to create an environment for people to live in, but why don't they live longer in it and easier in it and without less effort?
Well, we have learned a lot about your successes. I have a colleague who teaches failure, success through failure. Have you had failures that prompted you forward? Mr. Bass.
I don't really know this word. I don't think it really matters. I think there are too much emphasis on failure because it comes from fear of failing. fear of failing. And the fear, any type of fear, if you can take an action, you can get away from it. So if you think about it, yes, you can not achieve a success in day one or month one or year one, but every single action creates information. And with that new information, you can solve new things. Because all of our life, we are like doing reinforcement learning, right? In our neural network of like all of our brain and whatever we learn. So if you're talking about experiments that doesn't result, which quote unquote called in failure in the society, I believe like more success you accumulate, more failure you had, more experiment you failed. In our world, it's very, very common, and it's kind of like, in tech world, they're very kind to entrepreneurs because it's pretty hard, so it's pretty like, people forgive you a lot for the failures and the mistakes you do. For me, one of the biggest part was like, when I was building Apply Board, every time I was seeing a very brilliant person that they can achieve big dreams and they can do big things. And I couldn't create an environment for them to flourish. And I see them not achieving their dreams in my company. I would say that is the biggest failure of my life for every single one of those people that I've seen. And I knew they can do it. I believed in them. Sometimes even I believed in them more than what they believed in themselves. For me, those failures are the most hurtful. That why can't I build a company that every single person have the highest amount of achievements and they can be the best version of themselves? For me, those experiments, quote unquote failures, is being more painful. So if I want to like say something, I would say that one.
If I may, I want to talk about challenges rather than failure, because I never fail. I'm just kidding. So as all of us, even also in the audience, we've faced a lot of challenges, personal, professional. Mine wasn't an exception. I briefly mentioned at the beginning, my supervisor, my dear supervisor, Professor Tasfin Asonopoulos here at U of T, unfortunately passed away. He was a great mentor to me, and also my PhD defense depended on him. So I had to change topics. It added 3 extra years, 3 unplanned extra years to my PhD studies. If you ask any PhD student what is the worst thing that can happen to them, this is definitely top 3. And I had to go to another department, and that actually helped me work at a hospital, Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital, that dedicates its research in building technology for kids with disabilities, which opened my eyes entirely to what's possible, the art of technology adoption, and making lives for kids with disabilities so much easier. And that worst scenario during my studies, plus the fact that I was working for an industry, I was not able to name their name. Everything that I was doing was under NDA, confidential. I was not able to publish before they basically patented my innovations, which was great. I patented, I have 2 patents now under my name. But for a researcher and a PhD student, you have to publish in order to graduate fast. So fast forward, those challenges never made me question where I wanted to go and the fact that I wanted to finish. And I made that a learning experience for me. The experience I gained at that hospital was actually the very reason I'm at this job right now. And I just want to mention to the audience, any failure, any challenge you face along the way, make that a learning experience. These challenges are meant to make you stronger or make you kind of pivot from what's not meant for you. So you find your way through these challenges and never look back and say, oh my God, what do I do? And my career is ending or my studies are ending. Try to bring the best out of the worst case scenario. That's what I've done, and that really works. So that's my advice to you.
Well, in engineering school, there's a program, not a very long program, but it's I believe it was 4 or 5 days of different lectures about understanding failure. And if you didn't understand failure, you couldn't prevent it. But in most cases, when you see accidents these days, particularly and unfortunately when it has to do with air travel, the result is disastrous, but understanding failure results in the engineers going back and examining the remains of that aircraft and realizing what happened. If it was pilot error, they would talk to the institutions that train pilots. If it's mechanical, they would talk to the engineers, so on and so forth. But sometimes failure happens in business and failure happens in life. In business, in my construction, and in construction term, I would use construction words and construction elements. I think you could pulverize your failures into gravel, pour concrete over it, and then build a success above it. So that's one thing. But the greatest failure, not that I would like to digress from the subject, but I'm saying it to you, and again, just because I've started aging these days, and I would like to advise my friends. I feel I'm 500 years old, but that's because I lived 500 years. But seriously, one thing that happened to me, I was very successful. I was working 15, 16, 18 hours a day and hardly slept and all that. And I was very proud of it. And when my friends and the loved ones and my parents in particular would ask me, why don't I make time to see them or to spend more time with them? You know, I became very successful. But in my emotional department, and when it came to the loved ones and my parents, I think I failed miserably. So try not to fail in life. In business, you can definitely remedy it.
I just want to add, failure for me means a lot because I used to be as a teenager. As a teenager, I was a member of the Iranian national gymnastics team. So when I would dismount off the high bar, instead of landing on my feet, I would land on my head. Or bang my head against the high bar, the really hard bar, and that would be failure. So next time you could not repeat the same mistake. So you had to sit and calculate and say, what mistake did you make? Because it's going to cost your life next time if you land on your neck again. So
obviously, looking over your CVs, hearing about all your storied accomplishments, I don't have to explain to everyone how incredibly successful you've been. But the other thing that all three of you have in common, apart from being innovators, is you really do, each of you, believe in giving back, your philanthropy and giving back. Each of you do it in a very different manner. First of all, why is it important for you to give back? because it could very well be that you're saying, I don't have time for that, and that would be perfectly fine. So why do you do that, and how do you do it?
قلقلک میده دلمو وقتی میکنم. So for real, so the first money I made, I was 14. And I remember I came like very proudly. I was talking to my mom how I made my money, and she was like, okay, how much of it are you going to give away? And I was like, what do you mean? So like you earn the money, you're 14, you know, how much of you going to give away? We decided the right number is 20%. Later on in my life, I changed that number to be, I was in Iran, so no, there were no tax or something. But so basically, later on in my change in my life, I made it like a framework to give 10% of like whatever it is. Like it could be money, it could be time, it could be everything. 10% of it is not yours, and it was so easy, like because it was 10% of $100, 10% of like $150, and then it goes up. But then the 10% stayed, and I like highly recommend everyone. But every time I'm doing it, it's so joyful. If it is money, it's joyful. But even more joyful than the money is like when you find someone who's kind of lost in their life, and you kind of put them in the right direction, as you think that's the right decision, and then later on they message you, and they're like, "Wow, you know, like thank you so much for that time." You know, last Saturday, we were in like an Iranian party for Nowruz, and me and you were there. And one of the people who were like taking picture, she came and she was like, "Oh, you guys helped me to come to Canada like 8 years ago." That's like for me. That's like when I said "Delamo qelqelak mide," I think that is like that is the thing. Like I do it because it's just joyful, you know. When you do something and you are like, I'm doing it and I don't expect anything in return, I think a true piece of yourself come up, and it kind of grinds you to your humanity, to your soul. For me, that's the main purpose.
Thank you. That's really hard to follow. Well done. So I forgot to mention one of the challenges that I had. I was a woman in tech, and that's quite challenging. From getting bullied by your peers and not being supported. And I don't want to bore you with the details, but I'm sure most of you, I hope all of you know about the challenges of women and minorities in different fields such as AI and tech. So as part of what I want to give to the community, I sponsor and I mentor women and young girls to join AI and STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, to make sure that we're well represented. We have incredible talent among young women and girls, and I encourage them to give it a try. There are so many great tools, so many great educational lessons and licenses they can take. I encourage everyone to join STEM and AI, and that's kind of what I do as part of one of my hobbies, is to do either one-on-one or one-to-many and sponsor women and young girls in tech.
Thank you for that. Before we do go to Mr. Bagai, could you give us a sense of the numbers when you were doing your PhD, as to what those numbers were?
So the number of students was very little. I'm at my alma mater, I'm at U of T. I don't dare to say the number. Very, like one-digit number. Very small number of women in the lab, but a lot of Iranians, which was amazing. But I want to share a story. So I was at one of the conferences or one of the tech learning events. Mind you, it was a 4,000 or 8,000 attendee event, and it was a massive conference. There was this women luncheon as part of the agenda, and obviously I wanted to attend. I just want you to guess the number of women that they were at that event. Just give a number. Like how many? 5? Out of 4,000 people. 10, quite close. Like it was less than 50 women out of 4,000 or 8,000. I remember that number. But it dawned on me. And everyone in that room, we were talking about the same challenges. It was like preaching to the choir. Like everyone knew about the challenges. We were women, obviously. And then the men were outside having lunch and having fun. So I kind of made it my mission to educate, especially women, in terms of what's the art of the possible, what they can achieve, and also form allyship. It's very important to have men as allies to support and sponsor women in minority fields such as engineering and AI.
Thank you. Next over to you, Mr. Bagai.
Would you mind repeating your question again, because my friends digressed a little bit, and I was so interested in hearing your story about men. You should read a book called it's a Harvard publication. Actually, it talks about alpha male syndrome. Okay, you should read it. Definitely, it's very useful.
So just to repeat the question, I said one thing that appears to be a golden thread running through each one of your careers is that each of you are very, very big on giving back, or very, very big on philanthropy. So first of all, why do you do it? What does it do for you to do that? And how do you do it?
Philanthropy, as far as I'm concerned, is a necessity. Some people do it because they'd like to get credit for it. The majority of cases that I've seen with big donors is that they insist on having their name on the department in a hospital or a room or so on and so forth. And it's understandable. And yet it's not their money, it's their corporation money, and that's another insult to the injury. But seriously, insult to the injury as far as this good deed that is supposed to remain good deed is concerned. I think we all have to give back to our community that we live in. It's not because of the community alone, it's for yourself too. Giving is almost like a condition that some people suffer from or enjoy. A lot of people enjoy giving. I remember a quote from the great philosopher Nietzsche, who said, this goes back to 50 years ago, does the giver not owe thanks to the receiver for receiving? Isn't giving a necessity? I said this necessary. And receiving a compassion? That's a question mark. Isn't giving a necessity and receiving a compassion? So think about that. But I think philanthropy and giving is something very human, and it sets us apart from other species. So I'm not saying that if you don't give, you're a bad person, but it's something very personal. Even if you do it because you would like your name on a plaque somewhere, go ahead, do it. Because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You do need to pat yourself on the shoulders. But I find it necessary. And I truly believe that if I don't find giving an easy process, it's almost like collecting a lot of antiques and a lot of money and so on and so forth. And just imagine, you're 95 years old and you've had a couple of strokes. What the hell do you want to do with those? So, think about it.
Truly inspirational. And I'm just wondering, with all the success, experiences, and great life that you have had, if I keep on forgetting because I think I already have one in my throat. Yeah. I am wondering if someone would ask you a question, ask you for advice. Do you have a wise advice to give us here tonight, this evening, this afternoon?
Starting from me.
Yes, why not?
Enjoy life to the best of your ability. Don't do anything that you may regret later on. I mean, think about your actions. Think about your responses to people, to family, to whatever. It's good that we shouldn't be impulsive when we speak or when we do something. We should really learn to think about whatever we do, or believe it or not, it changes our behavior. You take that 2 seconds to make sure that you don't want to hurt anybody and you don't want to upset or insult anybody. In life, you have to be happy. And in order for you to be happy, trust me, you'll be happier if you haven't broken so many hearts. Seriously. Because you really don't feel that you're indebted. It's indebtedness and regret go hand in hand. You really feel you're indebted in life. So my advice to all of you is to look after yourselves, try and stay healthy, be educated, educate yourselves every day about this is my wife probably, and I know what she wants to say, that stop talking too much. But you have to be healthy, you have to be happy, you have to be positive, and that would make life easier for the others. Life is very beautiful. There are so many beautiful things in life that all we have to do is to look for them, seriously. And love yourselves.
This was such a wonderful advice. I don't know how to second that, but maybe I would encourage you to embrace new beginnings. If something crossed your mind that, I may want to do X or I may want to do Y, don't let that intimidate you. If that crossed your mind, you internally had found your power and strength to do that very same topic that crossed your mind. So embrace new beginnings. And, if something is intimidating, definitely do that. Like when I was actually talking with Honorable Minister yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, we were talking about the things that, I'm very proud of in terms of achievement in Canada during my career. One of the things that intimidated me the most was bringing a brand new technology called confidential computing in Canadian healthcare, which basically means a human is not able to see what the data looks like or what the algorithm looks like, but you can produce results on data that you can't see, and that combats privacy and security concerns, improves collaboration, and no one else was doing that in Canada especially. And that was really intimidating to me. But because that thought came to me, and then I went back, created a virtual team, brought together the brightest of minds, and we made that happen actually a few weeks ago. We actually brought that technology to Canada. So I would encourage every one of you to pursue your dreams and don't be scared of new beginnings, because there are a ton of learning material, a ton of technology, tons of tools, tons of support system that you can tap into, especially with this age of internet and AI. You can ask GPT and get you a business case in 2 minutes. So embrace that, leverage that, and hopefully everyone here gets on a new journey and a new beginning this year.
Once upon a time, someone was walking and they see an artist that was like making a statue, was smiling at a piece of rock. And he looked at it and said, like, what's going on here? And said, why are you smiling at a piece of rock? And he was like, there is an angel here. And the guy thought, okay, he's definitely out of his mind, and just walk away. He came back from a week, and then he started saying, the guy is smiling and hardly working, and he could see a hand, like of that angel. It was like he walked back, and months finished, and then a big, beautiful angel was out of that rock. And from the day one, the artist was smiling at the end result, because he knew there is an angel hidden in that rock. All it needed to be to go through the hardship of a lot of knocks in life. So all the things that we don't need it in life goes away from that rock. So the angel come out. The best advice that I ever received, and I also give to other people, I think is to love yourself. But not that angel. You gotta go through the life, through all the hardship. You gotta go love yourself and start knocking over all the pieces that you don't like, so that angel come out of it. And if you love yourself, you're always like, do what you said. You help others, you love others, you care about your relationship. I had a friend, his name is Ehsassi, and he was like always like saying, imagine you are end of your life, and you are sitting looking at the beautiful view, and you are about to die. Think about it. What would you think about your life? Would you smile or you regret? All the things that you think at that time you would regret, just don't do it. And what would you regret? Mostly the thing that you should have done and you didn't do. And you not that much regret about the things that you've done, unless you've done something crazy, right? Like killing someone or drinking massively. So in life, it's all about that. If you love yourself and said, I'm Michelangelo, and my goal in life to get my angel out of this hard rock, I think a beautiful life and it follows, and you would enjoy every single of those hardships that you go through.
So incredibly insightful. Allow me to just thank you. You have given us so much to think about. But let me conclude by saying, obviously, the three of you have aspired to great heights. And by aspiring to it and accomplishing it in the manner that you have truly, truly inspired us all. Sepas.
And to celebrate this moment, we have the Nowruz 2025 Sepas Award. Ali Jan.
Yes.
استاد خیلی ممنونم. افتخار دارم.
Thank you for inspiring us. Cheers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
and Padide. We have one more musical treat for you. Shahab Baradaran. Shahab, please.
با سلام، ببخشید. من شهاب هستم و یه آهنگی چند وقت پیش ضبط کردیم با یکی دوستای خوبم که توی اینستاگرام و فیسبوک گذاشتیم. شعرش از فریدون مشیری، اسم شعر خوش به حال روزگار، که همون برای بهار یک اجرای براتون داره. بوی باران، بوی سبز، بوی خاک، شاخه های شست باران خورده پا، آسمان آبی و ابر سپید، برگ‌های سبز بی عطر نرگس، نغمه شوق پرستوهای شاه، خلوت گرم کبوترهای مست، نرم نرمک میرسد اینک بهار، خوش به حال، خوش به حال روزگار، خوش به حال روزگار، خوش به حال روزگار، خوش به حال چشمه ها و دشت ها، خوش به حال دانه ها و سبزه ها، خوش به حال غنچه های نیمه باز، خوش به حال دختر میخک که میخندد به ناز، خوش به حال جام لبریز از شراب، خوش به حال آفتاب، خوش به حال روزگار، نرم نرمک میرسد اینک بهار، خوش به حال، خوش به حال روزگار، خوش به حال روزگار، خوش به حال روزگار. یک دو تا آهنگ اجرا میکنم، هر دوشون از مولانا، جان من است تو. جان من است تو، هی مزنیدم، آن من است تو، هی مبریدش، آب من است تو، نان من است تو، مس ندارد باغ امیدش، باغ و جنانش، آب روانش، سرخی سیبش، سبزی بیدر، جان من است تو، هی مزنیدش، آن من است تو، هی مبریدش، هی هر که ز غوغا و سر سودا سر کشد اینجا سر ببریدم. زه نباید تو به نشاید خشک درآید تازه کنیدم. جان من است تو، آن من است تو، جان من است تو، آن من است تو، جان من است تو. مزنیدش مبریدش مزنیدش. خیلی ممنون. مرسی. تشکر میکنم از دکتر فرزاد خلبتی و دکتر تکاولی که این دعوت رو از من کردن. آخرین آهنگ به نام بگو، شعرش از مولانا هستش. جز من اگرت عاشق و شیداست بگو، بر میل دلت به جانب ماست بگو. گر هیچ مرا در دل تو جاست بگو، گر هیچ مرا در دل تو جاست بگو. گر هست بگو نیست بگو راست بگو، گر هست بگو نیست بگو راست بگو. گر هیچ تو را میل سوی ماست بگو، و نه که رهی عاشق و تنهاست بگو. مانند تو هم در دو جهان کیست بگو، وان کیست که بی امید تو زیست بگو. گر هست بگو نیست بگو راست بگو، گر هست بگو نیست بگو راست بگو. جز من اگرت عاشق و شیداست بگو، بر میل دلت به جانب ماست بگو. گر هیچ مرا در دل تو جاست بگو، گر هیچ مرا در دل تو جاست بگو. گر هست بگو نیست بگو راست بگو، گر هست بگو نیست بگو راست بگو. راست بگو راست بگو. ای توبم شکسته توبم شکسته، از تو کجا گریزم از تو کجا گریزم. ای در دلم نشسته در دلم نشسته، از تو کجا گریزم، از تو کجا گریزم ای نور و هر دو دیده، نور و هر دو دیده. بی تو چگونه بینم، بی تو چگونه بینم وی گردنم ببسته، گردنم ببسته. از تو کجا گریزم، از تو کجا گریزم ای توبم شکسته، توبم شکسته. از تو کجا گریزم، از تو کجا گریزم. خیلی ممنون، مرسی.
I also want to express my gratitude to all of you who have joined us in celebrating Nowruz. I also want to express my gratitude to Honorable Ali Ehsassi, who has partnered with us in this celebration. And also I want to express my great thanks to Lady Celeste Ehsassi, who is the queen behind the throne. Our participants, you all agree, Martin Basiri, Hilya Mohammadi, and Sean Baghai were very inspiring. And this event could not have happened without the support of some of our important colleagues, Bilal Hashmi, Dr. Sofia Farrohi, and Dr. Abulfaz Moshiri, and Sam Azad. Thank you all for making this event possible. The show continues outside. We have the occasion for Dida Bazdid Nowruzi, and there is a lot of nice sweets here. And if you have some extra AD that you don't know to give it away, who to give it away? There is a code up there. That's for AD that you have left over that goes to our students at the University of Toronto. Thank you again.